This lesson will explore how to slow down and think to expand our comprehension through the use of a visual text. But first, let's review. When you monitor your comprehension, you must keep track of whether you are understanding the main ideas and arguments of a text. This is what you can reference as you develop your understanding of the strategy. It includes a student-friendly definition, the symbol that you need to use when you're using this reading strategy in your annotations, and sentence starters to use with your annotations. Let's review also the common mistake most readers make, which is that they skip over what confuses them instead of monitoring their comprehension. I want to remind you that it's not okay to ignore what confuses you. You'll only get more confused later. So it's better to deal with it in the moment. There are 6 really easy things that will identify whether you're confused. They are: you don't hear the reader's voice inside your head. You can't visualize what you've read. Your mind is wandering while you're reading. You can't remember what you're reading. You struggle to answer basic clarifying questions about the text, or you can't keep track of the characters. If you're experiencing any of these signs, you need to stop and you need to monitor your comprehension. When monitoring your comprehension, there are a few steps that you can take. First, remember it's important to stop and think often to make sure you understand. You also need to slow down when you're confused instead of skipping over things. And then you can use specific strategies to fix your confusion, things like looking again or asking questions or connecting different parts of the text because the whole and its parts work together. There are more of these fix-it strategies, but these are the ones I'm going to highlight in this lesson. So let's look now at the core lesson. This is an image, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. I can't really say if it's a reunion or maybe it's an attack, and because I don't have a clear answer, I know I'm confused. And now it's time to stop and deal with my confusion. My first step is to slow down and focus on specific parts of the text. I'm going to focus on the soldier on the floor. And I'm going to use some of my strategies like asking questions and connecting to try to work through my confusion, or at least identify where I'm confused. First thing I notice is his face. And here you see me asking questions about his state of being. I'm confused about whether he's dead or asleep. Let's look at this again, right? That's one of my strategies, to look again. And I'm looking again at his injury. And I don't understand how serious his injury is. Think now it's time to connect. So I need to think about another part of the picture. And what comes naturally is thinking about the other injured soldier. I'm realizing that here's where I lost understanding. So I'm asking a question again to try to pinpoint where my confusion lies. And I don't understand why this guy would be rushing and look so concerned if the situation wasn't so serious. That now brings me to step 2. I need to explore where my confusion came from, since I'm now pinpointing where it is. And remember, this is the only guy rushing. I'm trying to look again at the rushing and formulate some comments about why I'm confused. And I'm stuck because there's only one soldier who seems to really care about the one on the floor. In fact, as I'm looking again, I see that there are other soldiers who are holding him back. So I'm going to ask some questions. Notice how I'm repeating my fix-it strategies over and over again. And the 2 questions that I come up with is, why are the other soldiers holding the one soldier headed towards the injured one? And shouldn't they all care? Because I'm still confused, I now need to look at other parts of the text. So I'm forcing myself to make some connections between the different parts. And so I'm going to look at the part of the text that I haven't really fully explored. And here, I'm realizing I didn't even actually pay attention to this part of the text when I initially looked at it. The first thing I notice is the soldiers with their backs turned. And here I need to really slow down because I didn't pay attention to this part of the text, remember initially? Here I'm stuck because I don't understand why they have their backs turned to the injured soldier. They seem unconcerned about what's going on behind them. As I'm slowing down and looking again, I also see the tents. And again, I don't understand if this is a campsite or how long these soldiers have been here. Now let's try to check my understanding. If I look at the different parts, I'm going to check my understanding of each of them. This guy is definitely unresponsive, which is different than everyone else. This guy has also been injured, and he also looks like he cares about the injured soldier. And these guys, well, they seem to have been there a while, and they seem concerned about other things. I think this means that the injured guy on the floor was injured somewhere else, maybe in the same place as the other soldier headed towards him, and brought to this location where all the other soldiers are. By checking my understanding, I'm forcing myself to deal with my confusion head on. Now that I've gone through all of my strategies, I can actually make some meaning and reap the rewards of having dealt with my confusion. So when I ask again what's going on here, now I don't think it's an attack, because many soldiers don't seem overly concerned with what's going on at the forefront of this picture. In fact, I'm now more convinced it's a reunion between the two injured soldiers, who I would venture to say were injured somewhere else and brought to this location. And now I would say that the reason the Russian soldier is being held back is because the injured soldier on the floor is probably not ready to be disturbed. Now that I've done all this, let's review those steps to monitoring comprehension that allowed me to make some meaning. It was important to stop and think to make sure I understood. I needed to slow down when I was confused, and I needed to use specific fix-up strategies, like looking again, asking questions, and connecting different parts of the text.